How are you all? This is the first computer chapter of class 7th and welcome to the new session of 2020-21. The first chapter is hardware components, children. Now, what is hardware? Hardware are the physical components of the computer that you can touch. Like for example, keyboard, mouse, monitor, etc. So let's begin the chapter. Computers are machines that perform specific tasks according to a set of instructions or programs. Earlier, computers were used mostly by scientists and engineers for complex calculations, and they were very costly too. So children, previously, now we have very small computers now. You can at least 20 to 20 or 30 computers you can put in your room, but there are only one computers per room they used to keep. Children got it? And nowadays computers are within the reach of every working person. It has virtually become a need in every sphere of life. Now children, you would have seen computers all around, on stations, in banks, in malls, yes, everywhere. Now let's study the new topic, that is anatomy of computer. Children, anatomy of computer is the basic parts of computers. Like we have different parts of the body. We have nose, we have ears, we have eyes. So same children, computers has got two basic parts. The first is hardware, children. The physical components of computer which we can touch and feel, I already told you, are known as hardware. Hardware can be further categorized into internal and external hardwares. Children, hardwares can be divided further into two parts. Internal means the part of the computer which are inside the computer. Like for example, we have microprocessor, we have SMPS, we have hard disk, etc. And external children, that we have pen drives, pen drives from outside we are putting in the CPU. Pen drive we have, then we have flash drives, etc. That we will study further. Let's go into softwares. Children, what is software? Children, software are the physical, not the physical, but these are the part that you cannot touch. Got it? Software, all the programs. If there is no software in the hardware, then hardware will not work. Hardware is nothing for you then. Let's study software. So they are independent. Hardware and software are independent. Let's study. Software is a set of programs which controls the internal operation of a computer and instruct a computer about the work to be done. For example, Unix, MS Word, etc. You know what's MS Word, children? Yes, we write letters, we write essays, the typing work we do. That is MS Word. Softwares can be classified into two main categories: system software and application software. System software is what? That software that is installed in a computer, like Windows. No, we have viewers. We ask, what window do you have in your computer? We say we have this window, we have that window, we have Windows 98, Windows 7, Windows 10, etc. Application software, children, those applications in that you work. MS Word, you are working on that. MS Paint, you are working on that. That are called application softwares. Let's move. Hardware and software are interdependent of each other's functioning. Without two components, a computer cannot work. Children, they are independent. If they both are not there, nothing will be done. अगर हार्डवेयर है तो सॉफ्टवेयर की जरूरत पड़ेगी. Got it? For example, without the driver of a hardware and an OS kernel, we cannot use hardware. Similarly, without the processor and a memory, it is impossible for a software to run. I told already, children, They're independent. If hardware is there, you need a software. Without software, hardware can never work. Now children, let's go on with the new topic, that brief. What is internal hardware, children? I already told you, internal, inside the computer, inside the CPU. Let's go on children. What is internal hardware, children? Okay. The hardware components that are installed within the CPU cabinet are called internal hardware. Those components that are inside the CPU. If you'll open the CPU, you'll find all the internal hardwares. Have you ever opened CPU? Never opened. You should open it, but under the guidance of somebody. Got it? Okay. For example, CPU, RAM, ROM, disk drives, motherboard, network card, sound card, video card. Now let's go on with motherboard. What is motherboard? Children, motherboard is one of the most important part of CPU. Like we have a mother in the house, she works for us and she holds each and every member of the house. Same children, the work of motherboard is there. A motherboard is the main circuit board of a computer that holds the most essential components of computer system. The base of a motherboard consists of rigid plastic sheet. Now, what is it made of? The board is the mother of all components, and that is where it gets its name. It serves as a single platform to connect the part of computer together and allows them to communicate with each other. Yes, it children connects each and every part of the computer. A motherboard is mounted inside the CPU cabinet and connects CPU, memory, hard drives, optical drives, video card, sound card, and other expansion cards directly or via cables. The motherboard works like a bus terminal, that is junction of all the devices. As all the buses originate from and end up in the terminal, similarly all the activities related to the connected devices start and ends up in the motherboard. So children, I already told you, motherboard is the basic part of the computer, the major important part of the CPU, of internal hardware. Got it? It only holds everything. It connects to every part of the computer. Now, the motherboard, what motherboard has got? Motherboard mainly contains the processor chip, BIOS, the memory chip, external storage controller for video displaying and sound. With the help of that, you see the videos and to listen to sound. It also expansion slots for connecting additional circuit boards. Children, you would have seen so many slots, connected to the. You would have kept put in your pen drives and all, and the flash drives and all. Sometimes we charge our mobiles by putting those data cables inside the slot. Those. Let us study what is PCI. Peripheral component interconnect. It serves as a connection between a computer's motherboard and any connected hardware. Any hardware that is connected, it connects with the motherboard. The PCI transmits data and power between a computer and the device. PCI was introduced by Intel in 1992. Sound card. Children, the name suggests sound. You know what? It gives you the music, sound. The microphone you put, let's study now. What is a sound card? A sound card is a hardware component that is fixed either in an expansion slot or on the motherboard. It controls the input and output of the sound signals. That is, it receives and sends audio signals to and from the computer. A sound card converts the digital data to sound and vice versa. It enables the computer to reproduce sound or play music through output device. What is output device, children? Like for example, speaker. We are getting things from the computer to us. And record audio with a microphone. It separates PCI. Sound cards are used to get higher quality sound too. Now children, you have heard about sound card. Let's study video card. Now as the name says video, you see video, how video comes out from the CPU or from the computer. Let's study that. The video card is an expansion card that is used to generate the video output to a display screen. Excuse me, such as monitor, TV, or projector. Have you seen projector, children? You know, we take that cable and the back of that, children. And that is, we have a laptop also. We have the CPU, connect that table, and that light comes out from that. And on the bigger screen, you can see anything. Mostly in the schools we use, in the computer lab we have one big projector. Yes, that's all. Okay. It is also known as graphic cards. Video card is used to enhance the quality of the displayed images. This card contains its own processing and memory unit and is connected to the motherboard. Why everything is connected to motherboard? See, motherboard is always ready to help each and every part of the computer by accelerated graphic port or PCI. Now children, CPU. CPU is the main unit of computer. It is alternately referred to a microprocessor. It controls all the instructions to receive from hardware and software running on a computer. The CPU is a small piece of silicon chip placed into the CPU socket on the motherboard. It is usually in the shape of a square or rectangle, which contain millions of translators that perform a wide variety of functions. The speed of a CPU is determined by the number of instructions it executes per second, which is measured in megahertz. Children, what is microprocessor? See, chip microprocessor, this much big, and it is just below motherboard. And motherboard is somewhere kind of motherboard, and it works every time. If there is no micro chip, then your computer will not work. It will never allow any part of the computer to work. It is a very important part of CPU. Now, what are the three components of CPU? First is MU, that is memory unit. It is the principal storage of the computer. It stores both data and instructions when entered. Second is arithmetic and logical. Children, we have mathematical operations like, for example, addition, subtractions, that performs those things. This unit performs the arithmetic and logical operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Control unit. It controls the operation of every other components of computer system. This unit also controls the transfer of data and instructions among other units of computer. It transfers data. You know what is data, children? Raw facts and files. Data. Now comes your RAM, random access memory. Children, if by mistake when you switch off your computer or suddenly the light goes off, so everything will be erased from this. This is RAM. Now suppose you are playing a game and suddenly light goes off, so it will not be automatically placed. It will be there, then pause, and again when the light comes, if it's gone, you have to play from the very beginning. That is RAM. RAM, random access memory, is a type of memory that is available for the operating system, programs, and processes to use when computer is running. It can be accessed randomly at any time. Whatever information we enter in the computer goes into RAM and remains there until the machine is working. It is volatile memory and is therefore data and instructions are stored here temporarily. When you switch off your computer or there is some power failure, the data is completely erased. RAM is of two types, static RAM and dynamic RAM. Example, RAM is like a blackboard that is constantly overwritten with a new data. Children, it is all constantly overwritten. See, if you have the first period of maths, so the math teacher will come and write and solve his problems. As the second period goes on, the monitor will get up and rub the blackboard. Then the second period, ma'am, like for example, you have geography period. He or she will make the map of geography. And again, if third period comes, monitor will come and rub the blackboard. So it is a constantly overwritten. Got it? The commonly used calculator is another example of RAM. Now the second, the brother of RAM, ROM. ROM stands for read-only memory, children. It is a type of memory from which we can only read information but cannot write on it. It is a non-volatile memory, therefore the information is stored permanently in it even when the system is powered off. Data stored in ROM can neither be modified nor erased easily. A ROM stores the instructions required to start a computer. Children, the ROM, it keeps things which we can never lose. If the light goes off, if something mishappening happening in the computer, it will never let your work to be erased. ROM is like an audio video disc. Once the songs are burned on a CD, this cannot be changed. ROM chips are not only used in the computer but also in microwave oven and washing machines. Disk drive. A disk drive is a hardware component in a computer that enables users to read, write, delete and modify data on a storage device. It is either a built or an external component of a disk that manages the input-output operations of a disk. Disk drives are of several types such as hard disk drive, CD drives, DVD drives, etc. The most commonly used disk drive is the hard disk drive. Have you seen hard disk, children? You open the CPU, you will find one big slot in that you put your CDs and all, no? CD, DVDs, that is your disk drive. Now, the most important part, SMPS, children. SMPS stands for Switched Mode Power Supply. It supplies, children, electricity to each and every part of the computer, of the CPU. It is essential for safe running of power-consuming electrical and electronic appliances. SMPS uses a switching Yes, children. Let's go on with SMPS. SMPS stands for Switched Mode Power Supply. It is essential for safe running of power consuming electrical and electronic appliances. SMPS uses a switching regulator to control and stabilize the output voltage by switching the load current on or off. It transfers electric power from a source to low voltage direct current. It is always supplies a well-regulated power to the motherboard and other parts of computer and saves power. There is a built-in fan to release the excessive heat during the time the computer is in use. Children, SMPS. SMPS is used, children, when we supply current. Basically, the most important part is that of this, it supplies power, it supplies electricity to each and every part of the CPU. It also controls the voltage. Sometimes the voltage is very high, sometimes the voltage is low. So it converts that high voltage into a low voltage current and it supplies to each and every part of the computer. I hope, children, you all have understood what I have taught today. I'll be uploading more videos. This is the part 1 of chapter number 1. If you have any queries, any questions, do write in the comment box and I'll answer those questions to you all. Till then, stay safe and stay at home. Bye bye. Take care. We are always ready to help you. Thank you.